Welcome to Excel Ultimate's video on throwing upwind. First thing we're going to talk about the fundamentals here. A few things. We're going to take advantage of the wind lower to the ground. It's a little bit easier, and we're going to keep a release point super close to the ground. So we're going to take a couple flicks here. You'll notice that it's coming out between my knee and the ground. That's usually a good safe spot. Another key throwing upwind, one of the most important parts is, since the Frisbee on this flick is going to try to turn over when it hits that upwind, we need to release it with a lot of inside out. The common miss here, we've all seen it a million times, is we go to throw it and it just flips out, goes out of bounds. There it is, dives off, blades off to the side. So again, bring that edge really down, low release, and let's get a couple of these. With that one, that miss was caused by the nose angle, which is also very important. Works out well for this video. The release point was good, the edge was good, but the nose angle was too high. When we're throwing against the wind is going to try to pick the disc up. When we're downwind, pushes it to the ground, but upwind, anything this way, is trying to be lifted. So what we can't do, we can't put too much nose angle here like that last one, or else it'll just pick up, get lost, and drift away. That's why I need to practice this lift angle, edge angle, make everything smooth, and of course we're adding some extra spin. All right, let's try a couple of these upwinders. There it is, right there. Had all the edges correct on that, really inside out, almost pointed towards the ground. The further, the more inside out, and that nose angle was really neutral, maybe 1 degree up. Anything more, then it gets dicey. Same thing on the backhand side. We're getting a little bit lower than a normal throw, bringing that edge down to the ground, keeping that nose angle really neutral. One tip also for the backhand is you can really grip the flight rings with this thumb and almost give it a little air bounce, which is going to increase that rotation and spin. We don't want to throw a big air bounce against the wind, but we do want to use that down twist, which is going to really add the spin without getting hit too hard against the wind. Now that we have the fundamentals of the upwind throw, which is a low release, inside out, and a lot of spin, let's talk about the common mistake of too much arm. A lot of people try to muscle the Frisbee up against the wind because they think they have to throw harder. But the big problem with that is if you try to overthrow and it comes out wobbly, then now you have 10, 15, 20 miles of wind hitting all those wobbles. So when it wobbles up, the wind smacks in the middle of the disc. When it wobbles down, the wind smacks on top of the disc, and that's why a lot of people struggle throwing more than 20, 30 yards upwind. What we want to do instead is focus on the clean release. So if you release it and it's really spinning, there's no wobble, that's going to help cut through the air. So again, we're not going to try to overthrow it. We're going to be nice and just work on a clean release. I can throw this at 20% upwind and it will get there just by those little areas of focus. See? That one, barely put anything on it, 12, 15 miles an hour up here, got there no problem. As you start to get those clean releases, you can start to add more power and more power. Same thing on a backhand. It's not about overthrowing it, it's about giving it a nice spin and a smooth release.
Did you know you can get the whole Throwing in the Wind course over on Excel Ultimate? There we have learning materials such as this course where you can learn downwind, crosswind, physics of flight, and other important videos. Best yet, we're now offering weekly focused film schools. Last week I broke down strategy when it comes to Wind Ultimate. You get those weekly updated in the library so you always have new content. Take a look in the description below or in the pinned comment.
The last fundamental we'll talk about upwind is using your lower body We talked about we want this low release, and it helps a lot more if we can step out a little bit more wide, dropping this knee, and that's going to allow you to use all of your kind of upper body but still get a clean release low. If we're too upright, then we're going to be able to lean, but it's just a lot more awkward to release the disc there. So upwind throw, get the stance a little wider. This is going to let us drop down, and now we can release the disc almost right off the turf. When we have that spot with that stance, same thing on the backhand, nice and low, low release. There's really low wind resistance right off the ground. The higher it gets, that's where you start to have more of a problem. Now we're going to talk about 3 spots in the game that upwind throwing is really important. The one is how we can use it to our advantage, and we can't think upwind is hard. It's just a challenge. Why it is helpful is because if the wind's coming, we can actually throw the disc and have it sit up in the air as like a backstop, letting our receiver run onto it. So we're going to try that here. We have our cutter aiming to space. I can go way right, knowing that an upwind throw will curve a little bit left on the flick side, and we can use this to our advantage. As you saw there, it just literally sat out to space, which allows our player to attack full speed and make the catch. The common mistake when we do this is a lot of people aim normal at our receiver, and since the Frisbee has a tendency to move a little bit left and blade over, a lot of upwind throws are behind where the defense can get the block, or they just don't even get there. So that one was a fine throw, had a good edge, pretty clean, but again, I just didn't start it right, knowing that the disc is going to really sit out to space. You can use this concept as a handler, resetting the disc to space, throwing hucks, getting that catching window nice and open, or hitting these unders. Same thing applies on the backhand side. In this scenario though, we wouldn't be aiming really right. We would want to bring it out to the left, knowing the backhand's going to flip, turn, and come back around. You can put some speed on the upwinders, right? The friction of the wind is going to slow it down. So if you do have a clean snap and release, you can really put some miles per hour on it. That's going to help get it there. And yeah, your receiver's going to have to make some tough catches, but if you're moving the disc upwind 15 to 20 miles an hour, hey, you're going to need to anyways. All right, let's take a look at some upwind hucks next. Hey, what's up? Here with AJ Merriman, Defensive Player of the Year in the AUDL. And we're going to talk about some upwind hucks. The common mistake we see a lot is the nose angle. We talked a lot about that in the beginning with the fundamentals. The further you throw, the more important it gets. For example, if you put any extra nose angle upwind, you're going to see that it just shoots up into the sky and does not go where we want. Instead, hucking upwind, we want to keep the disc super low. Let's take a look. Nice. So that one still had a nice shape to it, but you saw as soon as it got high, it just hit a wall and it only came in at probably about 45 yards. Now we're going to bring that nose angle down, see if we can shoot through that wind. Yeah, he's also nice, perfect. Got an extra 5 yards on that one. Now we're going to go to the backhand side, same principles. You'll see that IO release, trying to keep it almost missing left the whole way. You'll be surprised on how much it flips, and also that nose angle.
If you want to support this channel, then please consider Evergreen jerseys for your next team order. The link is in the description below. The more orders Evergreen gets, the more content we can bring you and the ultimate community.